Hello everyone and welcome back to another Enhanced Edition. It has been a while, hasn't it? Not because I don't have things that I've, stickered or painted or whatever, but I kind of been sticking to the figure study format for a while. Anyway, thought I'd do a little bit of a twofer this time around where we take a look at Mastermind Creations Spartan and Mastermind Creations Dicamus, or Impactor and Roadbuster from IDW, or Duck Tank. Yeah, I know. I'm going to keep that to a minimum. I'm sorry. But yes, I stickered Dicamus a while back, and he looked great with the stickers, but he still seemed to be missing something, so I decided to go in and do some panel lining. But there wasn't all I did was add a little bit of panel lining in addition to the stickers, so I didn't think that would be enough to give Dicamus his own video, so Dicamus is piggybacking on Spartan's video here. Because Spartan, even though he's been in multiple videos in alt mode and has had Reprolabels on him for quite some time, I've never actually done a video showcasing the Reprolabels, and I also decided to add panel lining details to Spartan, so I figured I can show off the stickers and panel lining for Spartan and the additional panel lining for Dicamus. So let's kick things off with Dicamus because he's the one with the fewest additions, I guess. Now, I didn't go in and panel line every little nook and cranny on this guy because I thought that'd be a little bit of overkill, but I did get a few key spots. Like you can see this little dot in the side there. Looking along the top, you can see the details in the bumper / rocket launcher thingies. Some stuff in the hood. A little bit along the top here, though it didn't take super well, but I think it's okay. It just kind of looks dirty, which I'm fine with. Some lined up the various crevices along here, which become his arm guards. Did some stuff along here, which we'll also see more in robot mode. And you can kind of make it out. The the grating in the back there and back here. Wanted to make those details, those little molded bits, stick out a bit more. And flipping him on the underside, because it's the only time I'm really going to be able to show this, I even did this stuff in here, which is actually completely covered when he's in robot mode, so I'm silly, I guess. Oh, also I did the little bit in there, which you can't really see through the through the bumpers, but there you go. So yeah, it's not much, but I think the addition of the panel lining in a few places, along with the stickers, really does help to just bring out more details on this guy. And that was the thing that really bummed me out about him the first time around when I first got him, is that he looks great, but it's just a lot of little details that you don't see. And it made him a little bit plain looking, particularly in robot mode. As far as this mode goes, it's less noticeable here, but it will definitely be more noticeable when he's gone bipedal. And now for Spartan, which, as I said, both the stickers and the panel lining is new on this guy, so this is going to be a lot to cover that I'm going to try to cover quickly. As is the case with all this stuff, it just adds these little background details that you don't necessarily notice after a while, but when you look at them side by side, you can see just how much of a difference it makes. Just the little bits of color here and there, because primarily, originally, this tank mode was, yellow, purple, with a little bit of gray. And that was it. But now you've got the caution lines in the scoop there, as well as the lining detail. These little nooks and crannies along here have been brought out. You can kind of make out the stickers in there, but we'll see those more in robot mode. The little green lights in the front there. More caution stripes along the side, as well as these little red bits. I really like the red here. It stands out nicely from the yellow. And the panel lining, too, also stands out extremely well on that yellow. Brings out a lot more details, so it makes it look more complete, I guess. Like, there are little crevices and stuff that sort of stand out with the purple now that the panel lining's on there, and it kind of draws all of that together. Makes it just look a little bit more grounded, I guess. A little bit more detailed at a glance, because at a distance, when it's not, stickered and panel lined, you lose some of that. You can see more going along the back there. These little tail lights, I guess. that also have the caution stripes in there. And some more going on in here, which we'll see more in robot mode. And yeah, actually, as I'm looking at this, there's an awful lot of this that it's going to be visible in robot mode. Also went in on the turret, did some work in there. A little bit on the underside, but there's not a whole lot of molded detail on the underside there. And it's kind of hard to tell. I did just a little bit along the sides here, and I'm only pointing it out now because once he's transformed into a robot, this whole thing is going to get covered up. Altogether, it adds a lot of nice stuff. I like the little added colors that the stickers bring, and I like how the lining makes the details pop more. Oh, actually, also forgot I I did the little circles on the machine guns that pop out of the front there on both sides, inside and out, because why the heck not? Anyway, yes, that's I think enough of that. It's going to be more of the same when I get to the robot mode, but you get the idea. Both with Spartan and Dicamus, having those little enhancements really do make a difference. I've said it before, but for as much guff as I give Spartan's alt mode, I still really, really love that robot mode. And just taking an overall look at these two from a distance without getting in close, you can see, again, lots of little details that are revealed, that are coming through, that have been added, that just really make the figures pop. And it's the kind of stuff that may not be immediately noticeable right off the bat, but it just makes them feel like there's more going on there. The details that are brought out from the stickers and the panel lining kind of create like a visual background noise, I guess, that, for lack of a better term, make the figures feel more real, which is silly, I know, because they're alien robots and all that, but it's just really cool how a little bit goes so far. And once again, kicking things off with Dicamus, it's, as with the vehicle mode, it's stickers and panel lines that just come together to add more visual oomph to what's happening here. Like, there are certain things, like down in the legs here, you don't really need the panel lining because you can see the details in there due to the deepness of the grooves and the way shadows play off of them and stuff like that. But then other bits where it's less obvious, like here in the arms, which were visible in robot mode, or vehicle mode rather, you can see those details better. There's the little spot there that I pointed out in vehicle mode, the little lines there, which, you know, yeah, they're from the side, so they're not as obvious, but I still like that detail's there. There's some on the inner thigh there. I didn't really do anything on the outside of the thigh because there wasn't a whole lot to work with. And these little bits here, I kind of wanted to go in and finish these off as black, like paint these lines black, but decided not to because I don't want to risk painting around the stickers that are there. I did just a little bit of panel lining in there because that was just a solid block of green. And the chest is where it really comes together for me because the stickers look great. Like, that chest was just straight up empty orange out of the box. And that was the biggest glaring issue visually for me when I got this figure. It's just this blank orange chest. And adding the stickers brings just a little bit more visual interest to that empty void of a chest. That just makes that chest so much more visually interesting than the plain orange plank that it used to be. And did a little bit in the shoulders there just to bring that out. And actually, let me pull this back so I can show the... actually did do his back here for no reason, because you don't see it in vehicle mode and you don't see it in robot mode, but I don't know, I was on a roll, I guess. And I did actually do a little bit of lining in the back panels there, and that, while it seems like it would be useless, it actually isn't, because you can actually see those little vents from like through his shoulders there. So I'm actually kind of glad with how that positioning worked out. Also went in and added lines to the head, along the top, along the sides, and in the front there. And again, it brings out those grooves much better. Now, I'm going to look at the gun in a second, but I also want to go over the arms just a little bit, because there's a little bit more added here, like along the inner forearm there. And on both hands, I did actually do the ridiculous thing and lined the separated bits between the fingers, which it's a small thing, but I actually really like how that works. So much of his details were like stark green or stark orange or stark brown that breaking it up with anything really helps. But I didn't want to get too crazy with it. I didn't want to be like, go in with a paintbrush and like dot every single one of the rivets here, or start, painting the things on his hips or anything like that. I feel like this is enough. I've finally done enough with Dicamus to be satisfied. I also added some stuff to the gun, which, if you recall, the gun originally was just green with the little bit of silver there, that little bit of orange there, and that was it. And these pods too, just green. So you didn't really see anything. And the stickers definitely add a lot to this, and then also with the panel lining now, it brings out even more of those details, like in the grip along the side here. And I really like how much of a difference it makes with these missile pod things, because again, these were just blank green, and so many of those little line details come out so much better now. Before I finish up with Dicamus and move on to Spartan, I also want to say I did a little bit of a, let's say, hardware revision on this guy. His feet, I actually changed his feet around, because initially these, the screws are facing out. You can see the little screw holes on the insides there. They're originally facing out. And that is not a huge deal, but I thought I'd see if I could, do something about it, because the way this figure is designed, it's meant to have the calves rotated around this way, so he has the smaller foot, but I really prefer how the black of the tire breaks up the leg there, and I also prefer the bigger foot as opposed to this tinier toe. Essentially, I disassembled the lower leg assembly in order to swap this around, because you kind of have to. And I did not think to film or take pictures of this while I was doing it, but unscrewing this will not accomplish anything, because this bit is pinned in. You'd have to actually push the pin out, and even then, if you could get, I couldn't get the pin out, so even if you could remove it, I'm not entirely sure whether or not this would need to stay attached to the plastic bit in here. I don't know if it's keyed a certain way or something, so I just don't know. So what you actually have to do is rather complex, but just the Cliff's Notes version is on the underside of the heel here, there's a screw here. You need to take that out, which will allow you to pop this off. And once that's popped off, you have to come in here, unscrew this, and this little curved bit in the center here is a separate piece that slides out. And when that's slid out and this is gone, and you have to take this out first because it's actually screwed into this piece. So if you unscrew this and take off this, then you can get a screwdriver through the hole here and through the hole here into a little screw that's pointing this way into the back of this. If you unscrew that, you can just pop this off. And once you pop that off, then it's just a matter of taking this one off, putting this one here, screwing everything back together, putting, this one here, screwing it back together, and that takes care of that. I mean, really, I doubt any of you even noticed the fact that the screws had changed and started pointing in as opposed to pointing out until I actually mentioned it, but it was a thing I did for me. Moving on to Spartan, again, it just makes all of the little bits, all the little details on this figure pop so much more now that he's got the stickers and the lining done. And I kind of like how it worked out with there being so much in the boots, because it almost looks like, the part that would be tromping through the Cybertronian muck, so to speak, would be the dirtier parts. There's lots and lots of little details that, they're there regardless, but when they're actually aligned, they stick out so much more, like these little bolt screw looking things, the vents up here, these little dot, rivet dots or whatever they are, along the sides there, all the lines along the back, all these bits along the front. I like how these flaps stand out just a bit more when they're lined like that. Did a little bit on the thighs. I didn't do the rivets individually because I just thought that seemed like overkill. Also didn't really do anything in the pelvis because there's just nothing there that's lined in such a way that, or sculpted in such a way that the lining would really help, I think. There's a lot of little things in the chest or midriff torso section here that I really like being able to call out, like the venting along the sides here, the little dots in these, what could be guns, I don't know, little vent groove in the middle there, and then these little extra ab bits, which you only get the stickers for these two, so being able to bring those out a little bit I think helps. And you've got the caution stuff on the forearms, and on the shoulders, and on the chest. I really like how that all works. And also a little bit on the toes, forgot to point that out. And yes, another reason why I like the red bits on the feet that the stickers add is because it now kind of brings it together with the red on the knee pads. And swinging them around to the back, you can see there's also lining done. Well, I already pointed these out, but there's lining done on the back, backs of the thighs, the little butt plate thing. There's some really nice molded detail all along this plate that you don't really see that well without the paneling, but it really does bring it out. And there's also, again, the little plow scoops things, the biceps, the backs of the shoulders, and the fronts. Like, it's just all these little details. I love how it all brings everything out. And I even did a little more on the head. I guess there was some people that weren't a fan of the panel lining done to the helmet, because the stuff on the head, like forehead here, came out of the box like that. But I actually kind of like how adding a little bit more panel lining to the sides just brings it together more. It makes this stand out. Like, since he's panel lined all over, this doesn't stand out to me anymore. It's more like, you know, yes, of course it's like that. And here you can see a little bit more detailed, closer up view, more open view of the grooves and whatnot that were brought out in the panel lining on that cannon. And yeah, it's it's cool. And I've said before, despite my joking on this figure a lot because of the alt mode, I still really like Spartan. His robot mode is fantastic. Oh, also, as with Dicamus, I did the hand here. Got more of that caution stuff there. Yeah, I really like the robot mode, and I definitely love what the Reprolabels add to this guy. The panel lining, admittedly, was sort of a last-minute afterthought. I didn't actually think to do that until after panel lining Dicamus. But I was kind of like, okay, well, I've got stickers on him, and he looks great with the stickers and the panel lining. He's got stickers on him. Let's see where this goes. Because, I mean, I'm not going to get rid of him. He's kind of become a staple of the channel at this point. There's a really solid couple of figures that on their own were fantastic, minus this alt mode, but the Reprolabels, which are extremely easy to grab, and I'm going to include a link in the description if you want to check out the set for either one of these. Those are extremely easy to add, and I did kind of pick and choose, left a few things off, because I didn't want to overpower it with some of the stickers, and some of the stickers were kind of, meh. That's the nice thing about Reprolabels, you can kind of pick and choose what you actually want to add, so if there's a sticker or two that you think would look silly, then just don't put them on. That, coupled with the way that the panel lining brings out those smaller details that you would otherwise miss if you were just kind of looking at them from a distance, I really like that. So that's going to do it for Mastermind Creations Spartan and Dicamus, or IDW Impactor and IDW Roadbuster. If you have these figures or figures like them and are interested in doing any kind of modifications like this, as I said, link in the description for the Reprolabels set for both of these guys, and in case you are looking to do the panel lining, I will include a link to the Amazon page where I bought the panel lining fluid for this. It's the Tamiya Black panel liner. I forget exactly what they call it, but basically it's a Tamiya brand panel lining stuff. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching, and stay fabulous.